Okay, Jeanette, another little tool I like to offer parents are these simple little cards. And what can you ask us about or explain about this little card about our habits?
Well, we have habits that brings people closer to us, and we have habits that pushes people away. So we call those connecting and disconnecting. We like to take those disconnecting habits and throw them away
Right.
and practice the connecting habits. So instead of criticizing and threatening, which is the top habit on here, what would we want to help people start doing?
Okay. We could replace that with listening and respecting.
Well, if you were listening and respecting me, what would I see and what would I hear? Now I'm asking you about your two front wheels. How would you be thinking and how would you act if you changed from disconnecting to connecting and listening to me and respecting what I had to say?
Well, certainly I would want to avoid interrupting you. That's something I wouldn't be doing. I would be looking at you. I would want it to be an effective listener, have a good facial expression, maybe a smile, nodding my head like you're doing now, and just an overall expression on my face that I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, something I say to people is, from your point of view, Bruce, you may be right. I'll listen to you if you'll listen to me. So I'm showing you that I want to listen and I'm also respecting you. And I just say, from your point of view, you may be right. So that opens you up to listening to what I have to say.
Now we've got 7 habits on each side listed. Certainly there are many, many more, especially the disconnecting and connecting. Complaining. Typically if somebody complains, it's not as bad as some of the others, but you just sort of get tired of hearing about somebody complaining all the time.
Well, when you are complaining and blaming, you're getting in the role of being a victim. And we say to people, you're only a victim if you choose to be. And if you step out of that blaming and complaining and step over in the circle of strength, you'll get stronger and you'll be happy. Where you are listening and cooperating and initiating. And there's many things that you can teach people that they can do, but they can't give up a bad habit until they replace it with a better one.
Let's briefly cover the rest of our disconnecting habits. Nagging, and it's, I hear frequently parents saying, if I've told you once, I've told you 100 times. And it's, I always try to ask, is 101 going to work? Is there some magic thing about doing it that extra time? Punishing. We think as parents it's our job to punish our kids. How would you respond to that?
I would say, well, is it working? Is it taking you closer to that child or pushing the child away? Are they cooperating more or less? And as you are using these disconnecting habits, what are you teaching your teenager? Are you teaching them respectful behaviors? Are you teaching them behaviors that will lead them towards unhappiness in their life?
And I guess I like to ask parents, do you want more influence with your teen or less? And they tend to all say, I want more influence. But that punishment certainly decreases that influence. Because I don't know anybody I like to be around who punishes me.
So I just say, if you keep on doing what you've always done, you'll always have what you've already got. So is that enough for you? Okay?
The last one, I think, needs some explanation. Bribery. And sometimes this might be in the form of rewarding to control. You know, for example, is it good to pay money for students for making good grades?
Well, you can do that, but what message are you giving them? Are you giving them that the grades are what you really want
Mhm.
if you want to go on in life, being more independent and successful?
Mhm.
But if I'm saying that the money is more important than the grades,
Mhm.
it's kind of like giving them pizza.
Mhm.
Is the pizza more important than working
Right.
to get a good grade and knowing it's your responsibility?
Mhm. And we want, and that's certainly important in trying to teach responsibility, and that they would do it on their own without the rewards.
Mhm.
So that's important to remember.
So when we're doing that with children, they're becoming more and more dependent on us.
Mhm.
And dependency breeds resentment and hostility, both on the parent's side and the child's side.
Okay, enough about these disconnecting habits.
Mhm.
Let's finish and focus more of our time on these positive ones. Encouraging and supporting.
Mhm.
What could you tell us about parents being encouraging and supporting to their teens?
Encouragement brings you closer to what the child wants from the parent. And you come closer and you're able to influence them and persuade them because it feels good to be encouraged.
Yeah.
And it feels good to be supported. That meets your needs for love and belonging, fun, freedom, power, and it'll help you survive in life.
Yeah. So comments like, Jeanette, I believe in you. I believe you can do this.
Mhm.
So that's an example of encouragement.
That helps people to believe in themselves. Okay?
We've got accepting and trusting. What would be an example of accepting?
Well, one thing that I think of is accepting, recognizing you can't change the past. You can begin right now to change your behavior and go in a different direction. Accept it, in fact, that you have tried these things and they're not working, and I'm going to change what I'm doing. I accept the fact that you were doing your best at the time, but now we would like to look at continuous improvement. If we don't accept ourselves in life, we have a pretty low self-esteem. So we want to teach people to trust themselves in the fact that I can do it. I can do it if I want to do it. I might have to change my behavior in order to do it, but I can do it
Right.
with your support and your trust. That will teach the child to trust their decisions when you're not around.
Right. Jeanette, I'll never forget when I was 16 years old. I really got a clear picture of trust. I was working for a gentleman, and I just got my driver's license, and he had this nice new van. I was 16 years old. He said, "Here, Bruce, take the keys to this van and run down to the store and get some supplies." I'll never forget that story because he demonstrated trust. Didn't talk about it, he showed it.
Okay, when he said that to you, what did you begin to think, and how did you choose to act? And when you were thinking and acting that way, did you feel better or worse?
Oh, a lot better.
And was
Yeah.
your physiology kind of more relaxed and happy?
Right.
That's what we're talking
I
about.
was very excited.
Excited.
And I'm sure that's been a long time ago, but I was thinking, I'm sure, okay, let's be responsible while driving this van because he's trusted me.
Mhm.
And so I did make it back safely.
Well, you see, trust breeds trust. And success breeds success. And failure breeds
Right.
failure. And it has been said by Dr. Glasser that if you fail me 2 or 3 times, the likelihood of me not finishing school is tremendous.
Right. This final habit is probably, in my mind, one of the most important ones because we all have differences. You have your preferences, I have mine. So the key thing is when we have a difference is negotiating. And that doesn't mean for a parent that they give up everything. What can it mean for a parent when we negotiate?
Well, we kind of call negotiating a solvent circle. To kind of draw a circle, and on the outside of the circle, you're talking about what I want. You're saying me, me, me. When you step inside the circle, you're saying we, we. And we work it out to where as we both step inside the circle, we're coming closer together. We are choosing thinking and acting that says together we can work it out without anyone hurting.
And it may be that one party has to give something and the other one may not be ready.
Well, that's when you say, regardless of what you do, Bruce, I'm going to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And that we can work it out. I'm not going to give up on you.
Right.
And I hope you don't give up on yourself.
Right.
But by negotiating and compromising, you're teaching them lifelong skills.
Right.
That's what you have to do throughout life.
To end this session, Jeanette, let's end it with probably one of the most important questions we can ask ourselves every day, as often as we can, when we're dealing with the important people in our life and even the unimportant people in our life. Can you share that important question?
Well, I think that it's very good to know. It's right here on this little card.
Okay.
And you have a lot of these cards you'd be willing to share with teachers or whoever might want them. It's what I'm about to do or say going to bring me closer to you, farther away. Now, if it brings me closer, the possibility of me getting what I want is going to be much more. But if it's pushing us away, neither one of us is going to get what we want in the situation. So by self-evaluating is what I'm about to do or say. If I use those negative, disconnecting habits, is that going to bring me towards you, or are you going to pull away? Because it's painful to people when they use those disconnecting habits. And it feels good when you use those.
Right.
Not just the other person feels good, but you yourself feels good.
But the reason we call them habits is because they're so easy. We don't have to think a whole lot. So that's why it's so important for us to be aware when we're trying to change and move from the disconnecting habits to the connecting habits.
Well, one thing, we talked about those 4 R's. When you're blaming and complaining and criticizing, or is that responsible behavior or irresponsible behavior?
Irresponsible.
Okay? Are you facing the reality that you're the only one that can change yourself? That you're wasting your time blaming other people?
Right.
And when you're blaming people, you're in the past. You can't change the past. So you can come into the present by using the caring habits and come closer to getting what you want. And that's where we ask people, what do you want? What are you doing? Is it helping or hurting you or anyone else?
Right.
If it's helping and not hurting yourself or someone else, that is defining what responsibility is. And they're facing reality, and they're building relationships, and they're getting better, and you're getting closer.
Right.
And then you will ask yourself, is what I'm doing and saying taking me in the right direction? And you say, yes.
Right. Okay, thank you for these important words.